Hi guys, Dan from onlinebasscourses.com, and in this video I want to show you intervals. Now in that little just improvisation there, I was kind of playing what I was hearing in my head, and if you want to be able to do that you need to work on many things, but on your ear and your knowledge of intervals really, because every note I was playing there I know the sound that it's going to create, and the reason I know that is because I know about intervals. I've got a sheet here with all the intervals up to the octave. So I'll just quickly explain what that is, but if you want to get that, just follow the link below and I'll send you a copy of that. But an interval is just simply the distance between two musical pitches. So if we start, we have what's called a root note. Now we're going to analyze the distance between that root note and every other note. So what I was playing there was something based around a scale. It was A minor pentatonic scale, and I was using a little bit of blues scale. So I know that that sounds good, if you like, and I know that some of the interval sounds within there sound good as well. So I'll give you a little demonstration of that a bit later, but let's very quickly, let's go through every interval. So from the root note to one fret next to it, we have a minor second, which sounds a bit like the Jaws theme, doesn't it? It's got that cool kind of sound to it. If you raise that note to the next fret, we have what we call a major second. Intervals are so named from scales. So if you know a major scale, from this case, fifth fret of the E string is A. If we play a major scale, the second note is called a major second. Then we have a minor third after that. And a good way of learning the sound of that is it sounds a bit like Smoke on the Water. The first bit of Smoke on the Water. That's a very good way of learning an interval. It's just to find a very famous tune, melody or bass line, it doesn't really matter, that contains that interval. So that's how I remember a minor third. After that we have a major third, so the third note of a major scale is a major third, the third note of a minor scale is a minor third. I'm not going to go too much into the theory, I'm just going to present this lesson. It's a major third. And that was definitely something I was doing earlier on. I know that from a root note, A in this case, going from a minor third to a major third, in this case with a hammer on, and back to the root. Just played it so many times that I know the sound, and I've heard it in bass lines loads. So following on from a major third, we have a perfect fourth. And there used to be a great show in the UK called Blackadder, and the theme tune for that was, and it was Blackadder goes fourth. So that's how I used to remember a fourth. It's also that third note of that Smoke on the Water. A sharpened fourth or flat five, I won't go into too much detail why it's got two names there, don't worry about that for now. That is, it sounds very sort of weird if you play it like that, but that's in a blues scale. It was definitely something I was doing earlier. There's that note. It sounds a little bit dissonant on its own, but when you move it to another note, so going from that flat five, we'll call it, on the 6th fret of the A string, going to the 5th fret of the A string, kind of balances out very nicely. Now when I'm playing, I'm not thinking I'm doing an octave, I'm doing a minor 7th, I'm not really thinking that, but I do know the sound of it, okay? I do know the sound it's going to create. A 5th sounds a bit like Star Wars, or that Green Day song, Wake Me Up When September Ends, which is a guitar line, but when you play a root and a 5th at the same time, it sounds great. Called the power chord on the guitar. called a perfect fifth. So that's a really great one. Then we have a minor sixth, or a sharpened augmented fifth. That is here. So that's the sixth note of a minor scale. That's how you would find that. We have a major sixth, sixth note of the major scale. So going from the root note, so in this case I'm going 5th fret A string. I'm sliding from my 5th to my 6th. Now, maybe I should say perfect 5th to major 6th, but musicians will often say 5th to 6th, like that. So what's that? That's I'm sliding from the 7th fret of the A string to the 9th fret of the A string. That's my perfect 5th to major 6th. And you hear that a lot. Put a link to a sixth exercise, which is really good to do there. After that, we have a minor seventh. Now, I don't actually know what it is, but there's a Chili Peppers bass line. It does something like that, and that's how I remember the sound of a minor seventh. That's a root note, a fifth, and a minor seventh. Very common sound. After that, we have a major seventh. Now, if you were confronted with a chord symbol, let's say an A major seventh, and you knew what a chord was, I did a video on that very recently. A chord is just the first, the major third, the fifth, and the octave. Well, I mean, 3 or more notes is from a scale is what a chord is. So you get first, third, and fifth. Okay. Now, if I have an A major seventh chord, and I know that the major seventh is there, I know that that is the note that will fit here. So, from a theory point of view, you can fill in the gaps here. You know the major seventh is there. You know that's going to fit. It's got that sound to it. You put it in a chord. Then you have an octave, and this is a very, very common interval. I did a video recently about how you can map out notes on the fretboard very easily by knowing an octave pattern. So here, an octave pattern is just when you go 2 frets across and 2 strings across, and hey presto, there's your octave. So this, if this is an A down here, that's an A there as well. It's a brilliant way of finding notes quickly. But if you think about it, if you know what a fourth is, well, that's also a brilliant way of finding a note quickly, because there are patterns everywhere on the bass. Now, I'll just quickly show you the kind of thing I'm doing there. Now, we have intervals. Now, intervals are kind of organized into scales. So a knowledge of scales is also very important. And I guess, you know, I've got some technical things I'm doing here as well. So it's not just the case that you must learn just one thing. We've got a bit of theory knowledge here, a bit of fretboard knowledge, a bit of trying to play as much in time and with a groove as I can, with some sort of cool techniques. You start to blend these ideas together and you're starting to get some good bass playing. Very much into that thing of just learning as much as you can, really, but trying to make it musical as you go. So I'll just play a few little random licks and explain to you within intervals and scales what's going on, okay? So from the A, 5th fret to the E string, I'm doing an octave, 2 across pattern. Now let's pretend that octave is the root note again, which it kind of is. I'm now doing a minor third to a major third, which I did earlier. That's 5th fret to 5th to 6th fret of the G string. Doing a hammer on, back to that root note. Then I'm going minor 7th, 5th root note. I know what that's going to sound like. And that's the thing. If you map out the location visually with the sound that you've got in your head from your, you know, your Star Wars or your Chili Peppers bass line or what have you, you can start to hear the sound in your head before you're playing it. And that's the cool thing. That's really, really what we want to do here. And you do this by playing scales and really getting the sound of that scale in your head and knowing what intervals are within the scales. So what else do we got? I'll just be pretty random here. So I landed on the 5th there, so that's the 7th fret of the A string, and just went frets 7, 6, 5, which is your 5th, your flat 5, and your 4th. Similar idea, but going the other way from a minor 3rd up to a 4th. Not really thinking that way as I'm playing. I just already know that it's going to sound like this. Essentially, this is a minor pentatonic scale. Adding a flat 5 makes it a blues scale. And just through listening to great bass players in the past and nicking their ideas, I've heard that minor 3rd to major 3rd thing. No, it works. That's the thing, really. What you want to do is you want to listen to as much bass as you can and use your own ears to work out for yourself what's going on, and take your own ideas, and you'll know what you like, and it's going to be built up of intervals and scales. Okay, so the more you can do this, the better control you'll have over fills, solos, bass lines, improvising, jamming, all of those kinds of things. You'll have a much better grasp of being able to do that if you understand intervals and scales. Let's do a few more. So I went root note, little bend on the 4th, which is the 5th fret, just bending it down to get that flat 5, minor 3rd, and I'm doing that minor 7th, but just down the octave, and then leading up chromatically to that A. The minor pentatonic scale is a nice simple sound. The first 3 notes sound like smoke on the water. And just fill in the gaps with the next one. Loads of bass lines come from just that scale on its own. That's why I'm improvising with that now, because it just sounds really, really good on the bass straight away. So I hope you enjoyed that short video on intervals. I hope you got something from it, and if you did, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing loads more videos on this kind of thing, and I want you to tell me, like, what do you want to learn? What kind of things do you want me to do? I can show you. I think a good thing might be to show some famous bass lines and break those down a little bit and see what's going on. Not just with the technique, but with the intervals, with the theory side of things. The more you can fill in the gaps of your knowledge, the easier playing bass and music becomes. You know, we're all trying to get there. I'm certainly not there myself, but the more we learn, the better we get. So I'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.